dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Thanks for staying up with us. We felt some steamy temperatures across the Commonwealth today, but also saw some strong to severe storms move through parts of the state, causing lots of problems for some high school football games. First Alert meteorologist Cameron Aaron has more on some calmer weather on the way. Cameron?
Yes, Steve, a really busy day in the weather office. We had some very warm temperatures. We had some muggy conditions. Also had a round of showers and storms that rolled through earlier today as well. The good news right now, most of us are dry. We are cloudy, watching out for possibly a few more spotty showers out there as we go into the early parts of tonight. However, we are starting to dry out across the mountains. That is the good news as we go into tonight. Those temperatures across the mountains are comfortable-ish. They were better than what they were earlier. Most of us in the lower 70s right now, 70 for Jackson and Hazard, 70 also in Pikeville, 72 over in Manchester, and 75 over in Wayne County at this hour. And as we go into the rest of tonight, those temperatures are going to fall into the middle to lower 70s as we go later on into today. And as you can see there, we fall into the upper 60s and lower 70s as you wake up on Saturday. Those temperatures, another warm day is on tap for the rest of your weekend. Highs stay in the middle to upper 80s by Saturday afternoon, so we are watching out for the potential for more warm and steamy weather out there. Not as hot as Friday. Watching out though for more pop-up showers and storms, especially for the second half of your Saturday, and those temperatures fall into the upper 60s and lower 70s once again as we get into your Sunday. But on your Saturday, as we kick off your weekend, temperatures are muggy in the middle to upper 80s. Again, watching out for more showers and storms, especially for the afternoon, also into the evening hours as well. But some better news on the way as we get into early parts of next week. Some drier air is on the way, also some cooler air as well. Instead of the 90s, we see some 70s by Wednesday and Thursday of next week. A quick look at the tropics, still watching out for Tropical Storm Franklin, and this will continue to strengthen as we go into this weekend. Also early parts of next week, coming close to Bermuda by early next week as a potentially Category 2 hurricane. So we'll keep a close eye on Franklin as we get into next week. Here is a look at your Community Trust Bank 7-day forecast for the weekend is always in view, and those temperatures are warm into this weekend, middle to upper 80s, middle 80s next week as well. But notice by Wednesday and Thursday, upper 70s, lower 80s as some cooler and drier air works into the mountains. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Well, storms unfortunately turned deadly last night in Michigan. At least 7 tornadoes touched down. 5 people were killed and hundreds of thousands were left without power. There was also damage in parts of Ohio. Well, tonight, storms in eastern Kentucky caused lightning and rain delays for several high school football games. In fact, some games are still in progress. That includes the second WYMT Community Trust Bank Pike County Bowl game, which is just at halftime right now, but it's a good one. Now, this is a 38-year tradition in the mountains. WYMT's Madison Carmouche has more from Belfry High School.
The Pike County Bowl is a tradition many teams across the mountains look forward to each football season.
It's, even though we started last week, you know, it was Pike County Bowl really signifies the start of the season for us. You know, great atmosphere, great crowds, and just we're excited to be here.
Each of the schools participating in the Pike County Bowl received a $1,000 check from ARH to go towards their school.
Oh yeah, most definitely we're excited about the Pike County Bowl and really excited about giving this money to all the schools for education. Really is. And that's one good thing. I said a lot of people think that this money is for just sports. No, it's going to the schools for education.
Rain or shine, fans made their way to the bowl game to support their teams.
It was very amazing, even though the rain doesn't feel too good. We're still going to win though, because we're the best.
This was Martin County's first Pike County Bowl game, but the Pike County Central High School students have been here before. In Pike County, Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
The 4 schools presented with a check tonight included Pike County Central, Martin County, Belfry, and George Rogers Clark. That Belfry GRC game again still ongoing It's getting ready to start the third quarter. You can watch that on HNI or WYMT.com. The games will continue tomorrow night, and you can see all the action on Heroes and Icons again, and WYMT.com will have tonight's highlights and other action from across the mountains a little later on the ARH Sports Overtime. Well, that heat we saw earlier has the potential to take a toll on anyone from kids to senior adults. But what many people do not know is that medications can impact an older person's ability to physically tell when they are getting too hot if they've been outside. Nurse practitioner Carol Sloan says seniors and caregivers should pay attention to in regards to what medications are impacted by severe heat.
There's certain medications that can, usually diuretics, because they're already trying to get the fluid off of them. So then you've got to kind of balance with being overhydrated and then being dehydrated.
She says if someone starts to feel overheated, it's best to find a shaded area and try to find a cool rag. And if you or someone you know begins to get sick, you should seek medical attention. At least 65 families who survived last year's Eastern Kentucky flooding are still living in travel trailers. Governor Basher released the latest numbers yesterday. He says 317 households have transitioned out of the state's sheltering program. FEMA has approved more than $108 million in individual assistance grants. More than 700 people qualified for the maximum grant. Water woes continue in parts of Harlan County. Earlier this week, officials say a crude oil spill was discovered, forcing the city of Everett to stop pumping water into the treatment plant from the Clover Fork River channel for several hours. It's still not known what caused the spill. This caused an outage for people in the Llewellyn and Closeplant areas. The same area experienced an outage about 2 weeks ago due to a burglary at a tank, which is still under investigation. Water is expected to be distributed tomorrow if you need it from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. at the Clover Fork Fire Department. Remote Area Medical's pop-up clinic will be at East Ridge High School in Pike County this weekend. They will be offering free dental, vision, and medical services on a first-come, first-served basis. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health will be among the groups at the high school conducting black lung screenings. The Institute has toured the region through the week doing those screenings. Examiners say black lung cases have increased in the area, but there are also some ways to prevent the disease from affecting minors.
I mean, black lung is a preventable disease, so there are engineering controls that can be used to limit the amount of exposure that these minors have to coal dust.
The screenings include a chest x-ray and lung functionality test. Minors will then receive a detailed explanation of results. Today was day 2 for an affordable housing conference in Lexington. The event focused on the increased need for affordable housing across Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear made a surprise visit today at the conference. He touted his administration's rebuilding efforts across the Commonwealth after natural disasters. He says he plans for the state to invest more into affordable housing through joint public and private sector funding.
We're going to make sure that we are putting dollars from the state, from our record budget surplus of $1.55 billion. We're going to take some of those funds and make sure we're doing more to build affordable housing.
We reached out to the Cameron campaign about affordable housing. They said, quote, Daniel Cameron will cut taxes, grow the economy, and enable each Kentuckian to reach their version of the American dream. Former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants have all now turned themselves in at the Fulton County Jail in Georgia on charges of attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 election there. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest from Washington.
All 18 of former President Donald Trump's co-defendants have now surrendered to authorities, each charged in a scheme to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Trump was booked Thursday evening, making history as the first former president to have his mugshot taken. He was released 20 minutes later.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice.
All but one of the co-defendants were released after posting bond. Harrison Floyd, accused of intimidating election worker Ruby Freeman, remains behind bars.
You have the right to retain a lawyer of your choice.
The former director of the group Black Voices for Trump had a hearing late Friday, a first peek into the legal proceedings at the Fulton County Courthouse.
There are grounds for bond to be denied at this point.
Former Trump lawyers Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesbrough are asking for a speedy trial. Trump's legal team wants to separate from Chesbrough's scheduled trial date starting October 23rd. District Attorney Fonnie Willis wants to try all the defendants on that date.
They want to present their evidence once and only once, and as you start bifurcating the trial, then you're having witnesses come back multiple times.
Trump's campaign, meanwhile, wasted no time turning his mugshot into merchandise. According to the latest polling, he remains the front runner in the GOP presidential race. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows wants to move his case out of Fulton County to federal court. A hearing on his request is set for Monday. The formal arraignments for all 19 defendants are expected to begin the first week in September. Back here in Eastern Kentucky, Big Sandy Community and Technical College will have a new president soon. Dr. William Scott Rule will serve as both president and CEO. Rule most recently served as the president of West Georgia Technical College. Kentucky Community and Technical College System Acting President Larry Ferguson announced the decision today. Dr. Rule's starting date at Big Sandy is set for January 1st, 2024. Recent enrollment statistics from Asbury University in Central Kentucky show this is the largest incoming class that university has had in 25 years. The university's communications director says a big reason for that is the revival back in February. You might remember that revival went on for 2 weeks and drew big crowds from all over. Once visitors left, there was an influx of applications. The revival has also played a part in some students transferring to the university. Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky held their annual FunFest today in Hazard. The FunFest is a back-to-school celebration for kids. It includes free sports physicals as well as food, inflatables, and games. This year's theme was Mario Kart and included a special visit from Mario and Luigi themselves.
They came in, they rode in with their trophy, and so that was an added bonus. And then everybody else, their theme has to do with the characters that are in Mario Kart, and all the kids have just walked in and ran.
Nearly 500 people had registered at the event after just 2 hours. Well, thank you so much for staying up late with us tonight. After football, Nate Johnson and Armando Berry will have highlights and scores next on the ARH Sports Overtime. Have a great